Well, hello everyone, my name is Swigo and welcome back to yet another video. Today I'm finally taking on the Bug Catcher Challenge. And I didn't want to do it in a normal main series game, so I took a ROM hack that I found randomly online, Pokemon Black Chaos, and I just immediately started my journey. But this was a pretty big mistake because Pokemon Chaos Black doesn't really feature that many good Fakemon. Most of them are just reskins of Pokemon that already exist, which is kind of annoying. So in the end, I just wound it up with a normal bug team with Scyther, Venomoth, Butterfree, Beedrill, and Parasect. And with this team, I'm going to try and beat Pokemon Chaos Black, which is a ROM hack of Fire Red. Now let's get right into the rules. Rule number 1 is I can only use the bug Pokemon in battle. A Champ Pokemon will be allowed. And as always, don't use any items in battle. Now before the video starts, I just want to tell you guys to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell to get all of my notifications immediately. As always, we start off by not giving ourselves a bug catcher name this time. We just name ourselves Zwigo, and our rival is going to be Plonker, because he just did a face reveal on stream. He just hit 10,000 subscribers, so go ahead and give him some more. He makes great challenge videos, so if you haven't checked him out already, you certainly should. As we arrive in the lab, we see 3 Fakemon, which are Maggot, Blue, and Flayon. Just the replacers of Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur basically. I'm gonna go with the grass one because that's the closest to bug, but I will immediately catch a bug Pokemon after that. After naming Maggot Pikachu, then grabbing the parcel for Professor Oak, I immediately go ahead and capture my first Pokemon, which is a Taze, basically a reskin of Caterpie. I name it Bugster and level it up to level 7 so that it would evolve into a Potcoon. Another amazing reskin from Metapod. Honestly guys, don't play this ROM hack, it is just Fire Red 2.0. Then my Potcoon reached level 10 and it evolved into a Butterfree. They couldn't even bother to make a third evolution sprite for it. Amazing effort, creators of this game. After that, it's time for a rival battle. He starts off with a Charizard, which is a poison normal type, a reskin of Pidgey but with another typing, so I confused it a few times to take it out. Next up is Flayon, but that thing doesn't even have Ember yet, so 3 confusions wins us the battle. In Viridian Forest, I capture myself a Weedle and name it Death, because that's exactly what it's going to bring to this Pokemon world. After it reaches level 7, it of course evolved into a Kakuna. Then I decided to take on Brock a few times, but because his Rock Tomb is 4 times super effective against my Butterfree, we clearly weren't ready for him yet. So I grinded up 1 more level so that it would learn Sleep Powder, and that would give us a way better fighting chance. So I started off by putting his Geodude to sleep and killing it with 2 confusions. Next up was his Onix, of course, which I also put to sleep with Sleep Powder, then proceeded to confusion it 3 times, and we win ourselves the first batch. My Kakuna then reached level 10 to evolve into his final form, Beedrill. While I'm dodging all of the Zubats and Geodudes in Mount Moon, I finally come across a Paras, which I capture, and we name it Mr. Krabs, because crabs are just always Mr. Krabs, doesn't matter if they're female or not. I then decide to take the Dome Fossil for a change. Please don't be mad at me. We then travel to Cerulean City to take on Plonker once again. And now his first Pokemon is a Shaikun. What even is this thing? I'm pretty sure it's rock typing because Fury Attack is not very effective on it, so I switch into my Butterfree and confusion it a few times until it goes down after a lot of them. Next up is his starter Flayon, so I go into Beedrill, Fury Attack it 5 times and then 2 times, but then we go down to an Ember. I then went back into Butterfree to take it out with 2 more confusions. Next up is Abra, and I know that this thing only knows teleport, so I go into Mr. Krabs to give him some XP. After shooting some nuts at his head for about 15 seconds, I then finally defeat it with a scratch. Last up is the Rat, so I go into Butterfree to kill it with 2 confusions. With the rival fight out of the way, it's time to take on Mrs. Bathing Suit Misty. Her first Pokemon is a Staryu, just like always, and my Mr. Krabs' nuts are just way too big for this Staryu. I should not have said that. But eventually it does go down though. Last up is Starmie, so I go ahead and shoot some more nuts at it until we eventually go down by a Swift. Then I go into beedrill, hit it with a Fury attack, but it wasn't enough, so we get taken out by 2 water pulses. Then I go into butterfree, put it to sleep with a sleep pattern, and finish it off with a tackle to win ourselves the Cascade badge. After then taking on a bunch of trainers, my Paras evolved into a Parasect. I then send my beedrill up to karate lessons so that it could learn brick break and break some bricks basically. And then I also learned my mushroom how to dig a hole. You know what happens on the SSN? Another rival fight with Plonk. This time he also starts off with a Shaikun, but this time Death has brick break, so 3 of those take care of it very easily. Kadabra then comes out, so I go into my mushroom, dig a hole in the boat and kill it. Man Leon is the evolution of his starter Flayon, so I stay in, dig another hole in the boat and kill it again. Last up was the rat, but my bee punched it unconscious. We then grabbed the TM for cut from the captain after giving him a neck massage, and then it was time to take on Lieutenant Surge with his first Pokemon being Voltorb. He easily went down to a dig, and next up was his Pikachu, who also got digged in the face. And last up was his stupid Raichu, and this thing just didn't want to go down because he set up 6 double teams. He's using my own strategy against me? How is this possible? So after trying to hit him 10 times with my dig, I finally went down to a Shockwave. So I then switched into my beedrill, hit a critical Twin Needle, and he was dead. With the Thunder Badge in our pocket, we can now head on with our journey. I pick up the TM for Aerial Ace and teach it to Butterfree. We then traversed our way to Rock Tunnel and go to the Pokemon Tower straight away to take on Plonk. And believe it or not, we actually lost to his Gyarados because we couldn't really hit it that hard. Next time we did get a little bit luckier though. Shaikun, just like the last time, went down with 3 brick breaks. After that, Execute came out, so I Twin Needled it because it's 4 times super effective to take it out. His Kadabra also went down in a single Twin Needle. Manlian was up next, so I switched to Mr. Krabs, hit it with 1 dig, but it wasn't enough and he took me out with an Ember. So I then went back into Death and a brick break was enough to take it out. Last up was Gyarados, so I put it to sleep with a Sleep Powder, Confusion did, but it woke up already the next turn, so he hit me with the Trash. I hit him again with a Confusion. I put him back to sleep and then I get a critical Confusion to take him out. So then I went to Erika's gym immediately after I beat Plonk, and her first Pokemon, like always, is Victory Bell, who my Butterfree makes sure to work off with a few Aerial Aces. Then this abomination came out, and I knew that this game was trash. But luckily, my Butterfree was strong enough to take it out. Last up was Vileplume, and after getting paralyzed a few times and actually almost dying to it, my Butterfree got off a last Aerial Ace to take it out. And now we have 4 gym badges under our belt. We then go to the Rocket Hideout to beat up Giovanni and his team, but it was way too easy, so I'm going to skip this battle. After beating him up, I get the Silph Scope and go straight to Mr. Fuji at the top of the Pokemon Tower to get myself the Pokeflute to wake up these fat ass Snorlaxes. After then almost making all of the Snorlaxes extinct, I go to the Safari Zone to capture a Venomoth. Another fun fact, this theory has been going around the Pokemon community for quite some time, and that is that Caterpie used to evolve into Venomoth and that Venonat evolved into Butterfree, which kinda makes sense. I then name it Lamp after the famous Lamp meme. At the end of the Safari Zone, I get myself a surfboard so that I can ride those waves. After then running around in the grass for another half an hour, I finally got myself a Scyther, which is going to be a very important asset of the team. I named it Mantis because that's exactly what it is, and then it was time to take on Koga. His first Pokemon is a Coughing, so I Psybeam it once to take it out. Then Esp Slime came out, which is just a reskin of the Pokemon Mach. So after hitting it with about 5 to 6 Psybeams and it just using Minimize and healing up a bunch of times, my Lamp finally goes down. So I switch into Butterfree to finish the job with a Psybeam as well. His second Coughing then came out, so I Psybeam it once again to finish it off in 1 hit. And last up was his Weezing, who couldn't even survive 2 Psybeams of a Butterfly, so that was an easy gym badge. We then travel all the way back to Silph Co to take on our rival Plonker once again. This time his Shaiku evolved into a Pidgeot. I'm telling you, they never even finished any Fakemon in this game. It's so bad. But this time, his starter has evolved into the final evolution, which is Furion, and this thing is Fire Rock type, which is very bad for us. And it has the same stats as Charizard, so it's even harder to take down. After trying about a dozen times, I knew that it wasn't possible at this level, so I grinded up at the Pokemon Tower against these two trainers, which give a bunch of XP. And since you have the Versus Seeker in Pokemon Fire Red, it's quite easy to earn money and XP as well. You know, it's a shame that they don't bring it back in every single game, because the Versus Seeker is an amazing item. So why not follow me on Twitter? Once I hit 1,000 followers on Twitter, I will be doing a $50 giveaway of a gift card of your choice, so go ahead and follow me on there. After my team reached level 42, I decided to go back to Plonk. But I still had to try a bunch of times until I eventually reached a point that I could beat him. He of course starts off with Pidgeot, so I start off with Mantis, set up a Swords Dance and take it out with 2 wing attacks. Then his Furion came out, so I hit it with a Steel Wing before going down to a Flamethrower. So then I go into Lamp, put it to sleep with a Sleep Powder and hit it with a Psybeam, but then we get taken out by a Flamethrower. So then I go into Buxer and finish it off with a Psybeam, and next up is Execute. So of course I have to switch into my beedrill and take it out in a single Twin Needle. His Alakazam then comes out, who shares the same fate as his Execute, so last up is Gyarados once again. So I had to go back into Buxter, put it to sleep with Sleep Powder, then hit it with 2 Psybeams, and repeat that process another time, and then 1 more Psybeam and Gyarados is down, and I finally defeated Plonk. Now it's finally time for Giovanni himself. Every time I say Giovanni that way, I get the urge to eat pasta. I just love pasta. So his first Pokemon, Nidorino, is an easy way to set up. So I set up 2 Swords Dances, take it out with a Wing Attack, and then his Rhyhorn came out. But luckily I learned my Cider Steel Wing, so it's an easy one-shot. Next up is Kangaskhan, who easily goes down to 2 Wing Attacks. And last up is Nidoqueen, who lived with a sliver of health after I hit it with a Wing Attack, and then she took me down with a Body Slam. So then I had to go into Lamp to finish it off with a Psybeam and save Silph Co. We then go across town to Sabrina's gym to take her on, and her first Pokemon, Kadabra, easily goes down to a Twin Needle from my Beedrill. Mr. Mime also couldn't take a needle in the arm, so he's out of here as well. Her Alakazam had the opportunity to take me out with a Psychic, but she just set up a screen, so I easily took it down with a Twin Needle as well. And last up was Venomoth. So I switched in my own Venomoth, which is 5 levels higher than hers, and we easily took it down with 2 Psybeams and win ourselves the 6th gym badge. We then do a whole tour around to Kanto region once again and head up to Cinnabar Island to find Blaine and his Fire-type Pokemon. His first Pokemon, Growlithe, misses his first Fire Blast, so I managed to set up 2 Swords Dances and take him out with a Wing Attack. Ponyta then came out, which also was an easy one-shot with Wing Attack, and next up was the other Fire Horse, Rapidash. I have no idea how my Scyther managed to outspeed it, but we did, and a single Wing Attack took care of it as well. Last up was his Arcanine, and we managed to hit a Wing Attack, but then he took me down with a Takedown. So then I had to switch in Lamp and finish it off with a single Psychic. And I honestly thought that it was going to be the hardest gym of this entire game, but it really wasn't. It was quite easy and we did it first try. After beating up Blaine, I immediately went back to Giovanni and beat him up as well. His first Pokemon, Rhydon, was an easy one-shot with Giga Drain. His second Rhyhorn then came out, which is level 50, and that thing also went down to a single Giga Drain. Nidoqueen then came out, so I stayed in, put it to sleep with Spore, hit it with a Dig, then slashed it, and then hit it with another Dig to finally take it out. Nidoking then came out, so I switched into Lamp and took it down with 2 easy Psychics. Last up was Duck Trio, so I switched inside her, set up a Swords Dance, and then took it out with a single Wing Attack. Now with our final badge under our belt, we can finally head on to Victory Road, but first we have to do another rival battle, like always. And this fight was pretty hard because my Pokemon are a little bit underleveled compared to his. Plus, his Fire type and his Pidgeot can do huge amounts of damage against my entire team. But eventually, after trying a bunch of times, I did get lucky. And with being lucky, of course I learned double team to my Scyther because I didn't want to level up anymore. So for starters, I have to set up 6 double teams on his first Pokemon Pidgeot. Then I also have to set up a bunch of Sword Dances because it also uses Feather Dance, which is very annoying. After I do that, I have to sweep through his entire team without actually getting hit by his Furion. So after my Sword Dances are set up, I easily take it down with a Wing Attack, and then he sends out his Rhyhorn, who can't take his Steel Wing because we're so overpowered now. Even with a +6 in attack, his Furion survives a Steel Wing, so we have to hit him with 2. Then Execute comes out, who can't tank a Wing Attack, and his last 2 Pokemon, Alakazam and Gyarados, also don't manage to survive a Wing Attack, so we win the fight and we can finally head on to the Pokemon League. And of course, as always, the first Elite Four member Lorelei has to give us a very hard time. I again was stuck here for a few hours until I eventually got enough luck with my double team and Sword Dance strategy, which isn't really a strategy. The biggest problem is our Lapras because that thing is tanky and hits very hard. So let's see how I beat her. Her first Pokemon is a Vetrol, which is just a reskin of Dugong. Probably one of the best reskins in this game though. So I start off with my beedrill, hit it with 2 Brick Breaks before we go down. Then I go into Scyther, set up all of my double teams and 2 Swords Dances and take it down with 2 Wing Attacks. And next up is Slowbro. So I set up another Swords Dance and take it out with 2 Wing Attacks. Next up is the reskin of Jinx, Ragraw, and of course that thing's defenses aren't too great, so a Wing Attack finishes it off. Then Lapras comes out, who I easily take down with a Wing Attack this time, and last up is Grok, which is a reskin of Cloyster. We do hit it with a Wing Attack, but it isn't enough and we get taken out by a Dive. So then I switched into Buckster, put it to sleep with Sleep Batter, and then used Psybeam 3 times to take it out and win ourselves the first Elite Four member battle. The second Elite Four member, like always, is Bruno, who we easily take down with a Giga Drain. Next up is Hitmonchan, so I go into Mantis and I try to set up a Sword Stance, but he uses Rock Tomb, which lowers my speed, and next turn he outspeeds me and takes me out with another one. So then I go into Lamp to take it out with 2 Psychics. So then his Machamp came out, I switched into my Butterfree, put it to sleep with Sleep Powder, then Psybeamed it, but it didn't do enough damage, so I went and chose for Aerial Ace instead, brought him down into red health, but then he used a full restore, so I put him back to sleep, and 3 more Aerial Aces finished the job. Hitmonlee then came out and it outsped my Butterfree, so I used 1 Aerial Ace until we got taken out by 2 Mega Kicks. So then I switched into Lamp and finished it off with a Psychic, and last up was Onyx, who I easily took down with a Giga Drain. Next up was the professor's girlfriend, Agatha, and she starts off with her Gengar, which I put to sleep with my Moth, then used Psychic, but then she healed up, so I put it back to sleep and 2 more Psychic finished it off. Next up was her Golbat, so I went into my Butterfree, put it to sleep with Sleep Powder, and Psybeamed it 3 times to take it out. Next up was Arbok, so I went back into Lamp, Sleep Powdered it, and took it down with 2 Psychics while we almost went down. Next up was Haunter, who pulled a switcheroo on me and put me to sleep and then took me down with a Dream Eater. So I switched in Lamp to finish it off with a Psychic, and then his Gengar took me out with a Shadow Ball. So then I pulled out my ace Pokemon Scyther, set up a lot of double teams and a Sword Dance, and finished it off with a single Wing Attack. 1 more Elite Four member, and that is Lance, and then we can finally take on a champion. But normally Lance is pretty easy, but in this fight, we really didn't stand a chance. And my footage for this fight also corrupted, which is quite sad to be honest. So I had to do it again after I had already beaten the champion. So this is my second Lance fight that I won. He starts off with Gyarados, so I start off with Lamp, I put it to sleep with Sleep Powder and switch into Scyther. Then I proceed to set up 6 double teams and 3 Swords Dances and sweep his Gyarados with a single Wing Attack. Then Yulta Gel came out, which is just a reskin of Dragonite, which we easily take out with a Wing Attack. Then Saleli came out, who is a reskin of Aerodactyl, so I Winged Attack it, but he healed up. Then I went for Steel Wing to take it out. And last up were his 2 Dragonite reskins, Metagulls, who we easily take down with some Wing Attacks. Now with Lance out of the way for the second time, I can finally go ahead and beat up the champion. which in this game is also just your rival. And I use the same strategy as with the Gyarados. I start off with Lamp, put it to sleep, then switch into Scyther and set up my double teams and Swords Dances. After I've set up 3 double teams and 2 Swords Dances, I finally take out the Pidgeot. Then his Rhydon came out, so I set up a few more double teams because he has Rock Tomb, which can't hit me every single time. And then I set up another Swords Dance to take it out next turn with a Steel Wing. Then his Furion came out, which easily tanks a Steel Wing from a +6 Scyther. I have no idea how, but 2 of those can take him out because he can't hit me. Alakazam comes out, we easily take it down with a critical wing attack this time. Exeggutor also isn't able to tank a wing attack, and last up is his Gyarados, who lowers my attack with an Intimidate to try and take me down, but it isn't enough because we can easily take him down with 2 wing attacks and become champion of the Kanto region as a bug catcher. This was an amazingly fun run because bug catcher Pokemon are very underrated and they're actually not that great. If you would try this challenge without Scyther, it would be 10 times harder, and I would probably recommend doing it that way. I also would not recommend to do this challenge on this ROM hack because this one really does suck. It's not good. You're better off just downloading Fire Red. And now with that being said, I just want to thank my Patreon of this video, Mickey Googla, like always. Thank you for supporting. And last up, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm Zwigo, and I'll see you guys next time.